Ocean Vuong is a Vietnamese-American writer who made waves with his first novel, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. The New York Times best-selling author and award-winning poet was more recently named Oprah's book club selection of the month for his second novel out now, The Emperor of Gladness. Ocean Vuong joins me now. So, Ocean, it's wonderful to have you here with me on NBC News Daily. Congratulations on the Oprah Book Club pick. So I know that you pull a lot of your personal experiences growing up in a working-class family that immigrated to Connecticut from Vietnam. Tell us a little bit more about the places and the people who really inspired your latest novel.
Well, thank you so much, Vicki. It's a pleasure to be here. I think for me, I've had many wonderful teachers in my life, both living and dead, heroes, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Virginia Woolf, but my first writing teachers were the women who raised me, my grandmother, my mother. These were women who had very little coming to this country. And I remember on holidays, they wouldn't even have enough to give us what we wanted as children, the basic things, new shoes, new jackets. But when they started to tell stories, I noticed this very, very early on, there were suddenly the most powerful people in the room. They were gravitational forces. And to me, it was so startling to realize that here are my elders who have absolutely very little power in this new country. And yet, when they started to narrate their own lives, they start to put language to their experience, they became the absolute center. And it was awe-inspiring to see my grandmother and my mother feel so empowered by absolutely nothing. Words, which weigh nothing, have imbued them with so much hope and dignity, which was very important to me. So I see myself walking in their shoes. They did not write, they were illiterate, but they were the first storytellers in my family, and I'm just following the ground laid before me by them.
It is just captivating to even listen to you talk about the way that your storytelling roots took hold through your grandmother and your mother. When I listened to Oprah talking about this being one of the best books that she has ever read, it is some of the highest praise. She calls you one of the most extraordinary people she has ever met. What do you think it was about this story that resonated with her and hopefully with the millions of readers who will now pick up this book?
I think Oprah is a very special person in our culture because she's moved through all the strata. You know, not a lot of folks who reach the level of influence that she has comes from the absolute working poor and incredibly humble beginnings that Oprah had. And not only that, but she doesn't forget that. And I think this is very exhibited in how she curates the book club, from Toni Morrison's books, from Abraham Verghese, and in this own, myself, this Emperor of Gladness. There are books about regular people, and I think, talking to her, I was not surprised that she was incredibly down to earth and incredibly interested in how everyday Americans live. Her whole career has been about framing that for this country. This country is so large, and sometimes it's very difficult for it to know itself from whatever vantage point. And I'm just deeply honored to follow that long tradition that she's so illustriously laid out for our culture.
I know she was very important to you and your mom, too. Growing up in the nail salon where your mom worked, Oprah was kind of like that third person who sort of helped raise you. Before we go, quickly, I would like to ask you, for aspiring writers, people who are watching and inspired by your stories, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, what is a piece of advice that you give people who do hope to write someday?
Look carefully at the world and then look at it some more. Our culture moves so quickly. It's about scrolling, about passing things by, but the writer's work, language is part of it, but language is the medium that enacts it. I do believe the foundational part of writing is observation. Look at the world, look at it with love, look at it with interest, and try to, in a way, worship at the altar of its possibility. And then the world keeps giving you the language to respond to it. Description is DNA. We describe the world, and in our description, we reveal more of ourselves to each other. And so I would advise, like my own students, that anyone at any age who wants to write, there's very few economic barriers to be a writer. You want to be a doctor? You got to go to school for
Right.
5, 8 years. Lawyer, same thing. You can be a poet tonight. Regardless of what you do, you can go home, sit down, carve a little space for yourself and be a writer. There are very few things in our life that is that immediately accessible. And it's the pride of my life that I got to do this work in this way.
Ocean Vuong, thank you so much. The new book called The Emperor of Gladness. It is out now anywhere you buy books. Thank you so much. Stay right there. You're watching Daily.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.